hear this guest every evening here on Viewpoints at 6:45. You hear that traditional voice. You'll hear it in just a moment. The book we're talking about, Godless America, Real Stories from the Front Lines of the Attack on Traditional Values. The author, Todd Starnes. And with that, Todd, good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Well, always an honor to hang out with you. And I'm actually coming to you from the Blue Ridge Mountains, so I'm not necessarily at the Fox News corner of the world today.
Well, you're enjoying some beautiful weather, I hope. That's great.
You know, it's absolutely gorgeous, and we also have not seen any bears, which is a good thing. So it's been a very successful outing.
All right, Todd, you know, as always, we're always fascinated by your take on life and on issues. But before we even get to some of those, tell us something about Todd Starnes. What got you into this endeavor?
Well, I've been a journalist for all of my adult life, and came up from print journalism into to radio and television. And I've been at the Fox News corner of the world for about 10 years. And I host a daily radio commentary that's heard now on more than 400 stations around the country. And in my spare time, they let me out of New York City so I can speak at conferences, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm speaking at the Blue Ridge Mountains Christian Writers Conference, and just having a great time.
Related to that, and we'll get to that moment here. Your activities, though, have generated a lot of controversy from time to time. What is your response to that? You get charged with a variety of, well, names. You're a racist, a bigot. You're whatever, homophobe. Name it. What is it about you that keeps you going? That you keep? Do you enjoy that?
You also forgot that I hate puppies.
I forgot about that. I forgot. It's correct. Yes. No.
Yeah. It's interesting. I at first, that kind of stuff, the attacks really bothered me. But now I just accept it for what it is. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. But I think people on the left side of the equation really get upset when we try to shine a light on their evil doing. And that's really what this is. In my new book, I write about this war on religious liberty. Well, this is a war that's being directed at people of the Christian faith. And when you try to expose this wrongdoing, that's when the left gets up in arms and they start all this name calling.
The book, Godless, and by the way, it's actually God Bless America. The B is just missing, so it comes out God Less America. Todd Starnes, our guest, the author. Todd, let's talk about this for a moment related to your efforts today, for example, in a Christian writers group. There was a story recently in which I think it was a Catholic, I want to say a Catholic leader, might have been a bishop, I can't recall now the source of this, in which he identified the fact that Christianity is under threat. And I'm wondering, is this now suddenly a serious revelation? We've been saying this for some time. You've been saying this, as a matter of fact, in a variety of your commentaries. Are Christians beginning to fully understand that it's no longer just a phrase, it's a real event?
Oh, I certainly think so. And the people, the challenge here is that the mainstream media simply ignores these stories. So unless folks listen to your radio station, or listen to or read my columns, they're not going to know that one of their rights, one of their constitutional rights, is under attack, under assault. But I do believe that a growing number of Christians are starting to pay attention, and that's evident by the high-profile pastors I talked to and interviewed for the book, many of whom tell me that we are now living in precarious times when it comes to the Christian faith.
Associated with that, and of course we've talked about this many times here on the program, and I know you've mentioned it on your commentaries, the Begman brothers, for example, or Ike of Firefox fame, Mozilla. These are folks that are being challenged because they have a traditional approach to marriage, to life, and they are now finding themselves being ostracized, or in some cases, in the case of Mr. Ike, he was basically kicked out of his job. We're seeing this slow and gradual attack on anyone with strong traditional values, and particularly Christian values. Is this something we're going to see more of in the issue with churches, especially in association with the subject of same-sex marriage?
Well, I certainly think so. And, I write in the book that I predict that the next battlefront will be will be the churches. And I believe that pastors are going to come under attack. We've seen that happen north of the border in Canada, where preaching against homosexuality is almost illegal. It's been criminalized. Here in this country, just a few weeks ago, a pastor in Pasadena, who also works as the city's health director, was suspended from his job because he preached a sermon about homosexuality from the pulpit of his church. And now this man, the city is actually investigating this man's other sermons to determine if he's actually eligible to maintain his job with the city. So this is a very real thing. These types of attacks are happening. They're going to get worse. And I believe the first line of attack with the LGBT community will be going after churches' tax-exempt statuses.
And we've got to get into the issue here briefly with the case that you've covered in Broward County, Florida, where a student was denied even possessing a Bible while in school. Now, shame on him. He decided to crack the book and actually read it. You know, why do we allow such? I mean, reading the Bible in school, how you know, that's almost criminal. Tongue in cheek.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, if he if he had been reading 50 Shades of Grey, he would have been given a gold star.
Right.
So, there is again, parents need to wake up, because all of this stuff is originating in the public school system. They're indoctrinating our children, and I have concrete evidence of that. Public schools have become hostile places for young people of faith. And those stories truly aggravate me, and they grieve me. And when I hear of a student who's come under fire for his faith or her faith, that's when I jump into action, and we do a report about it on Fox News, and we try to right the wrongs in this country.
Our guest, by the way, just to remind you, if the voice sounds familiar, that it is of Todd Starnes, and you'll hear the commentary a little later on, his daily commentary in a few minutes here on Viewpoints. The author of God Less America, would be blessed, but the B's just missing, fell off the fence, as it were. I went talking about youth and church, and you address this in one chapter, so absurd it could be true, the Happy Valley Church of harmonious hypocrisy. And then I just read the brief paragraph here. Churches across the fruited plain are struggling with how to attract younger Americans into houses of worship. The millennial generation is just not content with robed choirs, organs, and Wednesday fellowship meals. They're searching for something different. The problem facing pastors is trying to define something different. Let me, before I get to the question with you, Todd, just mention every Thursday evening we have a program here called The Why Factor. My second hour, Thursday evenings, I have a group of millennials, and we're just chatting about the issues facing millennials and what drives their, what motivates them. So back to this topic. What's your opinion about getting these millennials engaged in, if not actively involved in, churches and religious issues?
Well, the chapter you read from is a parody. It's a satire of the modern American church, evangelical church, where it's all about the smoke and the mirrors. It's all about having a worship artist who has a half a day's growth, that stubble, that's a 5 o'clock shadow, and wearing skinny jeans. And I hate to say that we have a little bit of fun with this, but at the same time, it's shockingly very close to the reality of the church landscape. And, I remember several years ago, there was a church plant in New York City where I live, and the church had one of these wild, exotic names, like, the Gathering Place or something.
Right.
And unfortunately, people, they couldn't attract members, and the reason why is because everybody thought it was a cult. And just as an aside, one of the things, I understand a lot of churches don't put their denomination on their signs or their literature, but that's a problem for people that are seeking a church, because I could be attending a Mormon church for all I know, or a Jehovah's Witness, or I could be attending a Methodist church, and I'm a Baptist. So, I don't understand why people have a problem with branding. But anyway, you know what they decided to do? They decided to change the name from the Gathering Place, and then they decided to change all their, modern music. And guess what they're doing now? They call themselves a very traditional church-sounding name, and now they actually do things like sing hymns, and they have liturgy and their worship service, and they're acting as if this is a newfound discovery. So what was once old is new again, as they say.
Todd Starnes, our guest. The book, A God-Less America, formerly Bless, but the B fell off. Todd, with that said, and you work in the media, what role do you see the media playing in this whole, if you will, debate or issue?
Well, I'm not sure that there is a role for them to play, other than the fact that they love to go after Christians.
Right. It's become almost a sport.
Well, it has been, and then what happens is you have these so-called progressive evangelicals who are left-wingers. They get all of the media attention. They're invited to write their columns in USA Today and the Washington Times, and somehow their belief system becomes the predominating or the predominant thought among evangelical Christians, and that's just simply not the case. So I don't think you can ignore the media, but at the same time they're not going to be your friend. So that's why I think it's imperative for people to listen to Christian radio stations, listen to talk stations like yourself, and read my column, because we need to educate folks and let them know what's happening in their country.
I want to get to a quick question, and I won't keep you much longer. And I thank you for your time this afternoon. Todd Starnes, the author of God-Less America. Todd, I read a story recently that the Poynter Institute had done a review, and they noted that in the media we're seeing more and more attacks on Christianity. I'm wondering, is the media becoming a tool of the anti-Christian movement in this country?
Oh, I certainly believe they are, whether they're willing or unwilling, unwitting participants. That's beyond my pay grade, but I believe they are to an extent. There are very few conservative evangelical Christians working in the mainstream media. That's troubling. We need more folks, to consider, callings into that field. But I hate to do this, but my phone is beeping, and I think my battery may be cutting off. So,
that's okay. No, I'll tell you. Look, I wanted to get your opinion on that, and I thank you for your time, because I think we're going to.
It is an honor.
It's our pleasure to have you, and of course we'll be listening to your commentary in a few moments. Todd, have a great day.
Well, thanks, and you do as well. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. All right. Viewpoints here on the talk station, FM 107, AM 1240.